You may be seated. A very good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guests. We welcome you to the European Union Green Power Transformation Forum 2023, a very big day for the green energy sector. My name is Nati Gule, and I'm going to be your program director for the day. Before I proceed, I would like to observe protocol. We warmly welcome the Honorable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, His Royal Highness Prince Lonkokela, also a senator in the House of Senate. Ngasim Shalentandla, may we please welcome him with a round of applause. We also welcome the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy, Margaret Dorcas Dlamini, and all government officials present here today. We also welcome the Charge d'Affaires from the European Union delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, Robert Adam, and the EU representatives present here. We also recognize the Head of Cooperation, German Embassy, South Africa, Mr. Fabian Kirielis. We also have amongst us the EU Renewable Energy Program's implementation partner, GIZ. We welcome its cluster coordinator, GIZ South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini, Mr. Jan Christoph Kunze, and also representative of Get Invest and Get Transform. You'll learn more about Get Invest and Get Transform during the panels. We also welcome Business Eswatini, who is also one of the event partners, key event partner. We welcome its Chief Executive Officer, the only man I know whose name starts with an initial, Mr. E. Nati Dlamini, and his wonderful team. We also welcome representatives from the Alliance for Rural Electrification, ARE. They are another key partner of the event, and we welcome, they are represented by their Policy and Advocacy Officer, Julia Van France, and her wonderful team. We also have amongst us representatives of the Renewable Energy Associations of Eswatini. They also have a lovely display at the back. We also welcome captains of industry darting across the room. I can see so many managing directors, chief executive officers, from your parastatals, from your SMEs, from different industries. We welcome you, as well as department heads, senior managers, and various representatives of industry. We welcome you as well. We also welcome every speaker, panelists, and also moderators who will share today. That table there has our first set of panelists and moderators. Some of them are on that table. And last but not least, we welcome the media houses present. I can see the TV cameras. Please get my good side. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the European Union Green Power Transformation Forum 2023. What a lovely setup. Please may we give a round of applause to ourselves. The theme for 2023 is catalyzing investments and power sector reform to support Eswatini's energy transition. A very, very important theme, building on from last year's forum, which we had around the same time, where we gathered to discuss energy issues and to see how Eswatini could play a huge role in the green sector, the green power transformation, which is happening globally. And we're impressed that today we will also be having presentations telling us that 1 year on, 12 months on, how far has the Kingdom of Eswatini been able to implement and achieve. And since it is a program item, I honestly believe we'll be hearing some good reports. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the key topics to be explored today include recent developments in the green field, project investments, skills development, and innovative solutions. Without wasting much time, I would like to invite our first speaker of the day. She is a Policy and Advocacy Officer for the Alliance for Rural Electrification, Julia Van France. She will be giving us a more in-depth view of why we're gathered here today. Please welcome her with a good round of applause.
Good morning. Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Chargé d'Affaires of the European Union Delegation, Head of Cooperation of the German Embassy in South Africa. Dear ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. We are thrilled to welcome you all today to the EU Green Power Transformation Forum 2023, catalyzing investments and power sector reform to support the energy transition in Eswatini. Following up on last year's successful edition of the Green Power Transformation Forum, this two-day event will address the role of public and private sector actors in advancing the energy transition in Eswatini and key issues and opportunities such as project investment and skills development. As introduced, I'm Julia von Franz, Policy and Advocacy Officer from the Alliance for Rural Electrification, or ARE, the leading global association promoting the decentralized renewable energy industry, with over 200 members present in 3 continents and in more than 55 countries. Our members operate across the entire decentralized renewable energy value chain, from standalone systems to mini-grids, connecting people and businesses to energy and sustainable economic opportunities. Our mission is to propel rural electrification forward, aligning our efforts with the broader goal of advancing clean energy access globally, with a particular focus on Africa. Driven by its commitment to the UN Energy Compact, where ARE has pledged to first deliver sustainable electricity services to at least 500 million people in our focus regions, 2, to empower the private sector to catalyze the creation of more than 5 million green jobs, and thirdly, to enable the private sector to prevent over 1 billion tons of CO2 emissions by 2030, we focus our work on 4 pillars. Firstly, on creating enabling environments for the DRE private sector. Secondly, catalyzing private sector investments, not only in terms of the amount of funding, but also by supporting the development of instruments and enhancing the capacity to absorb investments effectively. Our third pillar is to foster collaboration and bring innovative solutions. And last but not least is that we need to remain steadfast in ensuring the sustainability that sustainability remains a cornerstone of the decentralized renewable energy sector. So guided by these 4 pillars to drive the DRE sector, ARE works with a wide number of international and national partners to bring together all relevant stakeholders, from government to private sector, academia, civil society, as well as international partners. This collaboration is crucial to successfully shift towards more decentralized renewable energy. As you might all know, about $30 billion US annual investment is needed to achieve universal access to electricity by 2030. That means we need more than 3-fold increase in annual investments in decentralized renewable energy globally to reach our Sustainable Development Goal 7 of universal access to energy. And the private sector will play an important role in this and will account for the vast majority of investments. With regards to energy access in Eswatini, the country has made great strides in the past 2 decades. Seen that energy access stood at 20.4% in 2000, with 55% in urban and 10% in rural areas, it has reached today a staggering 84%, with 95% of energy access in urban and 79% of energy access in rural areas, according to the World Bank data. As said, these have been incredible achievements in the past decades, but as always, there's room for more. So the private sector, with its transformative power, can be a driving force here, leading the way in innovation, investments, and sustainable solutions. Therefore, having adequate national measures in place that allow for or even promote private sector involvement in a country is essential. And to provide sustainable and affordable electricity for homes and businesses alike, specific policies and regulations are vital. That is where resources like the Clean Energy Mini-Grid Policy Development Guide come in. Developed by ARE, UNIDO, and the AFDB, this guide offers insights outlining various forms of collaboration and reflecting on policy outcomes related to DRE. In this context, ARE functions as the voice of the private sector globally, advocating for policies and frameworks that facilitate this transformative journey. Envisage a scenario where substantial commitments at the national level set the stage for robust DRE initiatives supported by local and international partners. This collaborative effort extends beyond mere risk mitigation. It establishes economies of scale, generating green employment opportunities and fostering cycles of sustainable development. Honourable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to provide a quick overview of the agenda for the next 2 days. So today's first session will set the stage by presenting the developments over the past year in Eswatini's power transformation, offering valuable insights from various stakeholders. This panel session will cover key achievements, challenges, and collaborative efforts in Eswatini, exploring legislative reforms, successful partnerships, and future priorities for accelerating the energy transition. After lunch, we will have the pleasure of being introduced to GetInvest's work and their impact through GetInvest Finance Catalyst. This introduction will be followed by a roundtable on the way forward, which aims to shed a light on the role and the public-private sector play in moving the energy transition forward in Eswatini. The latter part of the afternoon will kick off with the introduction to Get Transform and their work through the distributed generation support window. To close off the day, we propose a pitching session including financiers and private sector that will come to present their innovative solutions in terms of technologies as well as funding mechanisms to support the green transition. The day will be rounded off by the Eswatini Investment Academy certification ceremony, which will be handed out to the participants who completed the investment training we organized with the support of GetInvest, with the objective to support selective SMEs active in the DRE sector, with targeted finance training, providing in-depth project and business development training, pitching exercises, and guidance on how to access financing for their businesses and projects. We also hope to see you all tomorrow, where critical themes such as advancing skills development in renewable energy projects will be addressed in the morning. Looking into the advancement of skills development, the needs across the value chain in Eswatini, and how to take this forward through a forward-looking strategy. The roundtable on investment in renewable energy projects, which will be preceded by an introduction into Electrify, will discuss how the financing system can ensure an affordable and sustainable energy transition. The day will conclude with a knowledge-sharing session on small-scale embedded generation, offering practical insights into application and approval processes. I encourage you all to also make the most of your breaks by exploring the exhibition space in front of the deck, which showcases some of the members of the Eswatini Investment Academy and also features some other companies and organizations active in the sector, as well as some of the organizers of today's forum. And to conclude, as one of the organizers of the forum, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Business Eswatini and the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini for their invaluable partnership in making this event possible, and special thanks are due to the European Union, delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, GetInvest, and Get Transform, whose unwavering support has brought us together today. Mfani Nkose, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being part of this transformative dialogue. Throughout these 2 days, let us leverage this platform to collectively contribute to Eswatini's journey towards a greener and more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia, for such a comprehensive overview of the next 2 days. I'd like to now invite the voice of business, the home of business, the apex of business representation, represented by its Chief Executive Officer, the Chief Executive Officer of Business Eswatini, Mr. Nathi Dlamini, for his presentation. Please give me a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Nathi. I'm also Nathi. I guess you were named after me. What a privilege to have somebody named after you while you're still alive. And don't deny it. Secondly, Honorable Minister, before I begin, let me just preamble something quickly. Firstly, is to mention that it is indeed notable, if not totally remarkable, that your maiden outing as the Honorable Minister of this prestigious ministry is at this event, which is organized by the EU and co-organized by Business Eswatini, which is why I asked the President of BE to sit next to you, to look after you. I think it's notable, and we feel very privileged that you decided to make your first date with us. Would you please give him, Minister, a big hand of applause for that? And also, I think it is also remarkable that you were supposed to be with us somewhere in Johannesburg over the weekend. I won't mention the details, but due to unforeseen events, you could not. And if, with your indulgence, Honourable Minister, I'll take just a couple of seconds to share some experiences which you were deprived of. Firstly, I returned over the weekend, if you should know, from Johannesburg after serious load shedding episodes which I experienced over there. And I think this story is actually apt for this event. Until we have experienced that, as I have, and coming to talk about energy and the supply of it becomes something else totally different, I can tell you. But anyway, having briefed you on this one, also something happened in my hotel room. After the meeting, I found something from a company called Huggies. Now, mothers who have babies will be familiar with the brand name Huggies. Right. I found it on the bed, and inside was a very beautiful cup, also branded Huggies. And also I found this inside. I thought it was a pacifier for older people. But it turns out there's a pen inside. I can write with it. But what really drew my attention, what I loved, is during this episode of load shedding, watching this bag. I think I took a picture of it. Can somebody show it? What I loved about it is the tagline under the words Huggies that say, "We got you, baby." That's the tagline I really love, because big words, Huggies, and then payoff line. It says, "I got you, baby." They are trying to show it for you, for your viewing pleasure. In fact, it led me to believe that these babies actually, because Huggies, are they biodegradable? So I'm thinking your babies have the highest carbon footprint I think. And I think it's a new invention, to be honest with you. I know my mother, who's 86 years old, never used them because there was nothing like Huggies back then. I took this picture this morning for your viewing pleasure, just in case you think I was making it up. I've got the evidence, Your Honor. I also have it right there. That's what they gave me. Why they chose me, I have no idea. Maybe thinking I'm a big baby, who knows. But having preambled that, Honourable Minister of Natural Resources, now that I've briefed you, I can begin, sir. Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Your Excellency, the Ambassador to the European Union, represented by Robert Adam, and the Head of Cooperation of the German Embassy in South Africa, Head of Finance of Advisory. Okay, I think she's stopping me. Oh, you're not talking to me. Okay. It's just the judges were looking at me. Or it was me looking at you, I don't know. Policy and Advocacy Officer, Alliance of Rural Electrification, senior government officials present here, captains of industry, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you. Let me begin by saying how delighted I am to welcome you to the second workshop on green power transformation. We are here today to continue the important discussions and foster the collaborations that we initiated in our first workshop in November 2022. Crucially, though, let me say it up front that we are most grateful for the support from the European Union, GIZ, the Alliance of Rural Electrification, aptly known as R, Get Invest, and the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, which made our first workshop a success. Their commitment to renewable energy and sustainable development has been instrumental in bringing us together to explore innovative financing solutions for green energy. The first workshop was a significant step towards further understanding the potential of renewable energy and the role of financing in unlocking this potential. Today, we aim to dive in much deeper into these topics as we explore new ideas and hopefully forge stronger partnerships in the process. We believe that through such engagements, we can contribute to the growth and sustainability of the renewables energy sector in the Kingdom of Eswatini. We therefore look forward to a productive session filled with insightful discussions and collaborative problem solving. As the representative voice of the business community, BE recognizes the pressing need for the country to reduce its dependence on imported energy and bolster in-country generation capacity instead. As you will undoubtedly agree with me, Eswatini's heavy reliance on South Africa and Mozambique for 80% of its power requirements exposes the country to a range of strategic and geopolitical vulnerabilities. In mitigation of these, the private sector is willing to take a proactive approach to investing in and promoting the development of renewable energy projects in the Kingdom of Eswatini. As our research can confirm, it will be prudent and indeed the most necessary to focus on two key sources of renewable energy, that is biomass and solar. However, it has to be said that the scope to leverage capital to fund climate programs, such as the aforementioned, remains minimal. Eswatini's 2021 Nationally Determined Contribution, or NDC, suggests that the country needs in the order of $1 to $1.5 billion to achieve its climate goals by 2030, resources which are patently beyond our capacity as a country. The 2021 Climate Public Expenditure and Institutional Review indicated that Eswatini received about $209 million from international financiers over 2015 to 2020, and that $103 million was leveraged as co-finance, mainly from domestic sources. The private sector's participation in NDC actions, sorry, I think I've lost mine. For the first time, it's my first time using a computer to present. I use paper, that's why I'll never use it again. The private sector's participation in NDC actions, though nascent, is imperative. Banks and large companies such as sugar corporations are key potential partners. Eswatini adopted the strategy to enhance private sector engagement for climate finance but barriers include lack of affordable long-term financing, market imperfections which are ubiquitous, inadequate and enabling policies, perceived financial and technology risks, and high upfront capital costs. An enabling policy and regulatory environment to enable private innovation and investment in NDC actions is critical, if not urgent, including the creation of investment incentives that will minimize costs and reduce risks. In addition to biomass, solar energy holds great potential for the Kingdom of Eswatini. This sun-rich African nation can benefit immensely from solar farms and rooftop solar installations. Business stands ready to collaborate with local partners and leverage international expertise to design and implement solar projects across the country. By utilizing solar energy, we can reduce the demand for imported electricity and also contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. To make these projects economically viable, it is imperative that we avail various financing options, including partnerships with financial institutions and international development agencies. The size of the economy in Eswatini presents a unique challenge for international partners. Our projects are deemed to be too small for the big-ticket funding parts, yet local financial entities do not seem to have the requisite risk appetite to spend on greenfield startups. This then presents a bit of a funding gap, which we are constantly working towards minimizing. Furthermore, BE remains committed to sustainability, as demonstrated by our prioritization of the use of advanced technologies and practices to maximize energy efficiency and reduce waste. This includes investing in smart grid systems, energy storage solutions, and energy management software. Through these measures, we aim to optimize the use of renewable energy, reduce operational costs, and minimize the environmental impact of our operations. Moreover, it is our vision to support the training and development of the local workforce in the renewable energy sector. This would include training programs and job opportunities to empower local communities and create a skilled workforce capable of contributing to the growth of the domestic renewable energy industry. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Business Eswatini and the whole private sector in the kingdom remains dedicated to driving the transformation of the energy sector through partnerships such as those demonstrated today. Innovative technologies and a commitment to local development, the private sector will play a pivotal role in accelerating the growth of the sector. Thank you for your participation and dedication to this cause. Let's make the most of this opportunity to shape a sustainable future for the Kingdom of Eswatini. And thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much to Umlangeni for such a very insightful presentation on the role of business in the green energy and the power transformation in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And we love that business indeed stands ready to implement green energy and is committed to sustainability. I would like to continue with our program to invite our next guest speaker, who is going to share the role of GIZ, which is, of course, the German Corporation Development Company that is working in terms of the EU renewable energy program in the Kingdom of Eswatini and helping to implement around the world, basically. We are lucky to have Mr. Jan Christoph Kunze, who is the cluster coordinator for GIZ South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini. And may we please welcome him with a big round of applause. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Principal Secretary, Excellencies, decision makers, partners, representatives from the public sector, from the private sector, from civil society. Dear ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I take enormous pleasure and honor in extending a warm welcome to the EU Green Power Transformation Forum 2023. Your presence is deeply appreciated as we collectively mark, celebrate, and foster successful cooperation for the energy transition in Eswatini. Robust partnerships sit at the core of any successful transformation, and we are excited by the progress of this Team Europe partnership between Eswatini, the EU, and Germany, which has yielded some progress in the energy sector already so far. As GIZ, in particular, we acknowledge that achieving our goal in shaping a future worth living cannot be achieved in isolation. We are thus grateful for the opportunity to be part of Eswatini's energy transformation journey, and we are dedicated to supporting it with all of our insights, experience, and capacity. The vessel through which we as GIZ will contribute to the journey is the Global Energy Transformation Program, or GET-PRO in short. We are implementing this true Team Europe instrument, which is being supported by the European Union, by Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Austria. In choosing GET-PRO, I personally believe that the Kingdom of Eswatini has selected a good partner to advance the energy transformation, because the project offers Get Invest and Get Transform, two complementary instruments that allow for holistic support of this energy transformation with integrated solutions. Get Transform provides technical assistance to public partners across energy sector governance, planning, regulation for clean energy transformation, and Get Invest mobilizes investments in renewable energy solutions from the private sector and helps develop a pipeline of bankable investment projects. It is precisely this link between the private and the public sector that is probably key for developing a conducive, ambitious, and realistic set of conditions for the energy transition to happen here in Eswatini. And it is thus great to see such strong representation in this room from public, private, civil society, stakeholders, in order to strengthen ties for future progress and to take stock as well, right, of what we have achieved in this first year since the last edition of this forum. Through dedicated events like this, but also the Renewable Energy Project Development Day and several one-to-one engagements throughout the year, Get Invest has actively engaged private sector stakeholders, stimulated demand for tailored support, and project developers have had the opportunity to present their ideas in those sessions to Get Invest finance experts. And over 20 companies so far have made use of this offer, attesting to the growing interest in the market. Get Invest also collectively capacitated renewable energy companies through private sector training and academy activities, strengthening their knowledge on business case and business model development. And over 10 companies benefited from these activities so far. Strong partnerships equally sit at the core of the Get Transform program. Together with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy, the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority, and the Eswatini Electricity Company, Get Transform was able to deliver several trainings and several advisory activities to get further in this journey. Eswatini thus strengthened national capacity in energy regulation and market development. Significant headway was also made in preparation of the grid codes revision, of small-scale embedded generation frameworks, the review of the short-term generation expansion plan, and most recently also starting a project to update the legislative documentation in the energy space. For both programs, the work with the partners has generated vital insights that can be built upon in the months to come to deliver tailored and impactful technical assistance. And we all need to work hard together to be impactful if we want to see Eswatini realize its ambitious energy goals. I was already impressed by this forum last year, I have to say, because it really conveyed to me a strong spirit and a dedication and some kind of a spirit of wanting to do things together. And yet seeing you all in this room with all of your deep expertise, your variety of perspectives, I have no doubt that we can help bring this shared vision to life and to take it further. Our combined strengths and skills allow us to cater to the specific needs of Eswatini's energy sector, and I'm excited by the impact that lies ahead. I'm looking forward to those 2 days of inspiring insight and exchange that help us realize joint solutions for Eswatini's sustainable and secure energy infrastructure. I thank you very much, and I look forward to those discussions.
Thank you very much, the German Development Cooperation, GIZ, sharing the significant headway that has been made and also expressing excitement on the cooperation that will be had. It is my honor to now introduce our next speaker. The previous speaker has spoken about cooperation with Germany, and we have the honor to also have the head of cooperation from the German embassy in South Africa, Mr. Fabian Kirielis. William Kom, welcome. Thank you. Please give him a round of applause.
Honorable Minister, Your Royal Highness, Honorable Principal Secretary, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Sunny Bona. It is wonderful to be part of the second EU Green Power Transformation Forum in Eswatini and to once more see the strong representation of both the public sector and the private sector that had made the last year's forum such a big success. Ahead of the United Nations Climate Conference, the COP28, which will begin in Abu Dhabi later this month, it is great to see the proof of successful private and public collaboration. Only by removing silos and looking for integrated solutions can we hope to make progress towards our energy and climate goals. The EU Green Power Transformation Forum last year marked a powerful start to the joint activities we will review and build upon over the coming 2 days. The energy-focused partnerships between the Kingdom of Eswatini, the European delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, and Germany has truly fostered business opportunities and sector capacities. It is therefore a beacon of progress and hope amid times that have become no less challenging from last November to the present day. Extreme weather events, the Russian war against Ukraine, and the newly ignited conflict in Gaza have global consequences on food and energy supply that affect us all. Despite these challenges of this scale, it is imperative to not forsake our energy and climate ambitions. On the contrary, we firmly believe that these challenges underscore the urgency to act and to accelerate our transition to secure and sustainable energy systems. The Kingdom of Eswatini recognizes the crucial role of resilient energy infrastructure in overall sustainable development. And we are grateful that Eswatini has chosen Germany alongside the European Union as trusted partners to work together towards this goal. Thank you very much for that. The precondition for a just transition is that the economic, environmental, and social dimensions are regarded together. Targeted policy interventions enable the energy transition as an engine for economic development and the creation of future-proof jobs. The partnership between the Kingdom of Eswatini, the European Union, and Germany is proof of the ambition we share to advance Eswatini's transition to a resilient and green energy infrastructure. Yet, while a shared vision is in place, another vital prerequisite for a successful energy transition is missing. Bankable frameworks are needed to attract sufficient investment. This is why the design of the support we review and expand over the coming days is a perfect match to Eswatini's needs. The action is delivered through two instruments, Jan already mentioned them, two instruments of the European multi-donor platform GET-PRO, the Global Energy Transformation Program, which is jointly funded in a Team Europe approach by the European Union, Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Austria. The instrument GET-Transform provides technical assistance to the public sector through partnerships with the Ministry of Natural Resources, Honorable Minister, the Eswatini Energy Regulation Authority, and the Eswatini Electricity Company. The instrument has built regulatory capacity and fostered grid operation and investment conditions. Get Invest, meanwhile, supports private sector partners in collaboration with ARE, Business Eswatini, and the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini. Get Invest offers renewable energy projects tailored support in accessing international funding. Together, these instruments, with the help of all partners represented here today, enable Eswatini to unlock bankable regulation and bankable projects. To conclude, Germany remains committed to aiding its African partner nations in achieving a sustainable energy transition, concurrently advancing universal energy access and economic development. We firmly believe that the Team Europe approach can significantly contribute to the expediting our initiatives and realizing the objectives of the 2030 agenda, as well as meeting our climate goals. Many thanks to the organizers today of this forum, but particularly to everyone present for their respective share in advancing Eswatini's energy sector transformation. I look forward to the next 2 days and to the change that lies beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The European Union, of course, we are gathered for the European Union Green Power Transformation Forum, and they are our host for today. And the European Union has been a very good, a long-standing and major development partner for the Kingdom of Eswatini, dating back as far as 1975. And since then, the relationship has grown in leaps and bounds. And we've seen the EU supporting the Kingdom of Eswatini in various sectors. Actually, I can't think of a sector that the EU is not supporting the Kingdom of Eswatini. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure now to introduce the Charge d'Affaires from the European delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini to just share more about their role in the Green Energy Power Transformation Forum. Please give him a round of applause as he comes up front. Thank you.
Your Royal Highness, Honorable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Principal Secretary, Head of Cooperation of the German Embassy to South Africa, representatives of the EU Member States Diplomatic Community, representatives of the German Agency for International Cooperation, JZ, representative of the Association of Bilateral European Development Finance Institutions, EDFI, dear CEO of Business Eswatini, representatives of the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, representatives of the UN agencies and international financial institutions, presidents, CEOs, and representatives of the public and private sector, representatives of the civil society, esteemed guests, members of the media, all protocols observed, good morning. And it is a big pleasure to be here today launching the second edition of the EU Green Power Transformation Forum. The great success of last year's edition pushed us to make this year's edition even bigger and, hopefully, more successful. Of course, this could not be possible without the support of our partner, whom I wish to thank today: the government of Eswatini, Business Eswatini, the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, the German Agency for International Cooperation, JZ, and the Alliance for Rural Electrification. I also want to acknowledge the presence of representatives of our EU member states' embassies. This is an evidence that the push for a green transition in Eswatini is a true Team Europe effort. Still on Team Europe, at last year's forum, we announced the Repower EU plan, launched in May 2022. This plan was created in response to the hardships and global energy market disruption caused by Russia's unprovoked, unjustified, and illegal military aggression against Ukraine. Repower EU is helping the European Union to save energy, but also to produce clean energy and diversify its energy supplies. Our joint efforts continue, and Europe is now better prepared and more united than ever. The Repower EU plan is speeding up the green transition and is promoting massive investment in renewable energy. Speaking of renewable energy, this is good for the climate, good for European Union's energy independence, good for the security of supply, and also it creates jobs in the EU. Over the last year, the European Union managed to increase our production and capacity by, among others, generating for the first time more electricity from wind and solar sources than from gas. And I think this is a very good example for Eswatini too. But also reaching a record of 41 gigawatts of new solar energy capacity installed, increasing wind capacity by 16 gigawatts, ensuring 39% of our electricity now comes from renewables. Our ambition is to reach 45% by the end of this decade. Another important pillar of the Repower EU plan is energy saving and energy efficiency. Saving energy is the cheapest, safest, and cleanest way to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. European citizens, businesses, and industry have all contributed to this. At EU level, member states agreed to reduce gas use across the EU by 15%. This was achieved by taking some simple but key energy-saving actions, like turning down heating and using less air conditioning or adjusting the boiler settings. I also want to mention that this event today takes place within the EU Green Diplomacy Weeks 2023, which began in October and end next week. The climate and biodiversity crisis are the defining existential crisis of our time, and even countries that have not contributed to the problem have to join and contribute to the solution. Today, the 27 countries of the EU collectively amount to less than 8% of global CO2 emissions. Considering that this share was 15% at the beginning of the millennium, you can see the effort and the commitment of the EU in this matter. Nevertheless, we do not want to stop here. The EU is committed to spearheading the global fight against climate change. EU leaders aspire to make Europe the first economy worldwide to become climate neutral by 2050. An economy with net zero greenhouse gas emissions. This objective is at the heart of the European Green Deal and in line with the EU's commitment to global climate action under the Paris Agreement. As mentioned before, the United Nations COP28 Climate Summit will start at the end of this month. During this summit, the world's first Climate Loss and Damage Fund is set to be launched. The EU invites all parties in a position to do so to contribute to the fund and financial arrangements. We acknowledged that those most vulnerable and with least capacity to deal with adverse effects of climate change already bear the costs. Therefore, the sources of funding need to be as wide as possible. The EU wants to see a fund that is up and running as soon as possible and that meets the demands of the most vulnerable. According to the EU, the fund should have modalities to benefit, in the first place, those most vulnerable and with least capacity to deal with impacts. We will continue working towards this objective once the fund's board is established. I would also like to highlight the joint Global Pledge initiative facilitated by COP28 presidency and the European Union to triple renewable energy capacities and double energy efficiency improvements before the decade is out, and to work towards a negotiated outcome that reflects these global targets. The EU is also paving the way for a new global agreement on plastics to support the global shift to a circular economy. The new instrument should address plastic pollution throughout the entire plastics life cycle in order to minimize the mismanagement of plastics and prevent plastic from entering the environment. By 2025, negotiations on the legally binding global agreement are expected to be concluded. The EU is recognized as a world leader in promoting international responses to environment and climate challenges. Regarding biodiversity, it can build on the experience of Natura 2000, the largest network of biodiversity-rich protected areas in the world, which benefits are valued 2 to 3% of the EU GDP. Since 2009, global EU cooperation for conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity reached approximately €1 billion, or 20 billion Malangeni, with many positive results, like the enhancement of the management of over 500,000 square kilometers of protected areas. The EU promotes a strategic approach to biodiversity. Protected areas with effective law enforcement are the cornerstone of conservation of large populations of wildlife, in conjunction with sustainable economic activities to improve communities' livelihoods. The main lesson learned is that biodiversity conservation requires an integrated and people-centered landscape approach that mobilizes a critical amount of funding. We are here today because we know that we are around like-minded friends. We believe that it is our collective duty to make the green power transition in Eswatini a process that contributes to the energy security and sovereignty of the country, while also delivering on a sustainable and inclusive economic growth and more and better jobs, especially for the youth. Nevertheless, this program is not an isolated intervention in our partnership with the Kingdom of Eswatini. In fact, under the scope of the EU-funded program promoting growth through competitive alliances, we are supporting the operationalization of a public-private dialogue platform, focusing on building national competitiveness. For competitiveness in Eswatini to improve, there needs to be a continuous dialogue among stakeholders. This would enable the country to create trust to get investors in. More importantly, this dialogue will provide a platform for both public and private entities to understand the challenges and goals faced by all stakeholders. I am confident that energy will be one of the key priority issues addressed by this platform. Moreover, the partnership between the EU and Eswatini in the next years under our multi-annual indicative program for Eswatini will have a major focus on market-driven human capital development and TVET for youth. Green skills will be a priority under this new partnership. Tomorrow, you will have the opportunity to attend an important session about supporting a skilled job force for the Eswatini renewable energy sector. During that session, you will also learn more on this partnership. Let me sincerely thank all colleagues and partners who will be moderating and contributing to this forum, and in particular, Program Manager Luis Miguel Pascual. I would also like to compliment GIZ for being such a valuable partner in this project. The Get Pro platform, with its two instruments, Get Invest and Get Transform, support the creation of bankable projects and companies and also bankable frameworks. This approach has proven to be a true support to energy transition, not only in Eswatini, but also all over the world. I wish to conclude, finally, by expressing a strong hope that Eswatini policymakers and regulators, public and private sector, civil society, academia, international partners, and financing institutions will work to make this Green Power Transformation Forum a huge success, ensuring a greener, more sustainable and prosperous future for Eswatini and Emaswati. Siyabonga. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here for green power. We're also gathered here for energy, and it is therefore befitting that we have the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy present here today. And to do the honors of the introduction, I would like to invite the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Margaret Dorcas Dlamini, to come through to introduce the Honorable Minister. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Program Director, Honorable Minister, His Royal Highness Prince Lokhonkela, representatives of the EU member states, embassies, Charge d'Affaires, European Union delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, Head of Cooperation, German Embassy South Africa, Cluster Coordinator Energy GIZ South Africa, Lesotho and Eswatini, Cape Towns of Industries, financial institutions present, Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, senior government officials, media personnel, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Sanibonani. Ninjani. Siyabonga. I'm happy that we are gathered again today after the successful launch of the Green Power Transformation, which took place late in 2022. This demonstrates utmost commitment of our partners and government towards the ambition of advancing the energy transition for Eswatini. I have no doubt that together we will change the Eswatini energy sector landscape. I'm really very happy as a Swazi to stand before you and to realize that as a Maswati we have realized that working on silos, it's not working for us. We need to come together for our country. We are equally proud of our Honorable Minister, Umfane Nkosi, who has hit the ground running. Siyabonga Nkosi. As he's here with us already, despite being a new minister, and still to learn about the ministry programs. Nkosi, Zashailana na director, should we invite the minister? Ngathi invite him, let him decide. And he said, I'm coming. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for coming. This is a clear indication of the utmost commitment and support by our leadership. We applaud that. I will not waste time, ladies and gentlemen, but to request you, Your Royal Highness, to take the podium and give your address. Honorable Minister, sir, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Asjalen Pasbeunen. Program Director, representatives of the European Union member states, embassies, Church d'Affaires, European Union delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, Head of Cooperation, German Embassy, South Africa, Cluster Coordinator, Energy GIZ, South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini. Principal Secretary, financial institutions present here today with us, Chairman of the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, senior government officials, captains of the industry, senior government officials, media personnel present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Asinivusele Malangen. It is gratifying to be part of this important gathering, which builds on the first European Green Power Transformation Forum, which I'm reliably told was launched last year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my first official assignment outside the office since my appointment. Let me first of all take this opportunity to thank the Majesties for appointing and the trust bestowed upon me to serve the nation through the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy. And I pledge to do my best and deliver to the nation in accordance with the nation's aspirations and policy given at Sibaya. I'm happy that this forum is aimed at discussing critical issues relating to the needs of the country, in particular energy security. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is very grateful for the assistance that is being provided by the European Union, Germany, Sweden, Netherlands, and the Austrian governments through the Get, Transform, and Get Invest initiatives that are being implemented by the GIZ. The support is aligned with Eswatini's ambitions for energy transition as it addresses policy and regulatory gaps, seeking to level the playing field for all players. It is exciting to learn from one of the previous speakers that there is a tailored support to the private sector towards accessing international funding for the development and implementation of renewable energy projects. This support will go a long way in assisting Eswatini increase her electricity generation capacity through the use of sustainable and environmentally friendly technologies in line with energy transition targets. Ladies and gentlemen, the ministry is already working on the development of renewable energy projects through public-private partnership that entails the development of a 75 megawatts of solar power capacity, which is now at the final stage of procurement, and the commissioning is planned for 2025. We also talk of a 40 megawatts of biomass power capacity, which is at the level of request for proposals stage, and the commissioning is planned for 2026. These projects will be developed by the private sector in partnership with the government through the provision of the necessary support that will be required to reassure that the projects are successfully developed. Other renewable energy projects being implemented are a feasibility study for a 33 megawatts hydropower capacity from Lower Makuka, and Makuka expansion has been completed and funding for implementation is being solicited. We're talking also of a 13 mega watts of hydropower from Lower Makatuza, which is expected to reach financial close in February 2024, and construction is expected to commence in June 2024. Biomass assessment has been completed by the ministry, working with the biomass producers, which revealed an additional generation capacity of up to 80 megawatts. The procurement of this capacity is expected to be launched in 2024. The government, through the energy regulator, has expressed a desire for further technical support and funding towards realizing this significant national project. Over and above energy security, these projects align well with the country's targets of achieving universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy by 2030. Towards achieving the universal access goal, the ministry has prioritized the rural electrification program to connect households through the grid extension, and as well as through the deployment of off-grid solutions, of which renewable energy will be key. Through this program, the country's current electricity access rate is now at 82%. I'm told 84%, 82%, and my officials, everybody's, but 82 and 84 is the same thing. Energy efficiency also plays a key role in fast-tracking energy transition, and as such, the ministry has developed an energy efficiency and conservation policy, as well as national energy efficiency strategy and action plan, which set out clear activities and targets for energy efficiency measures in the country. The aforementioned renewable energy and energy efficiency measures align with the international climate ambitions of limiting the increase in average global temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It is worth mentioning that the government is working from a balanced approach where the issue of baseload power is also considered to be ensure continuous supply of electricity that will drive economic growth in the country. It is encouraging to know that private companies also install their own generation capacities, mainly through solar PV. Through support from the European Union, the energy regulator and the EEC are working towards finalizing some of the reforms, which include the small-scale embedded generation framework, as well as the wheeling framework, from which are aimed at ensuring that the private sector plays a major and meaningful role in the electricity supply industry. This is over and above the main grid guidelines that the regulator has developed, which seeks to prescribe and rules and procedures for the deployment of off-grid systems in the country. The ministry is also grateful for the support that the EU has provided towards the review of the three pieces of legislation for the electricity sector, as well as for the development of the short-term generation expansion plan. This will ensure that the country's electricity legislation is up to date and takes into consideration recent advancements in the sector, while the short-term generation expansion plan will prioritize additional generation capacity projects that will be developed in the short term to medium term. Ladies and gentlemen, the ministry has prioritized mobilization of funding for feasibility studies, which are crucial for energy planning. Such studies include the Ngwembisi multi-purpose dam for power generation, potable water and agricultural use, a wind and solar source map for the country, and mini micro hydropower assessments, to name some. Support is tailored towards funding the feasibility studies should be considered by our development partners in order to fast-track the country's energy transition. Ladies and gentlemen, and in conclusion, may I take this opportunity to wish you all the stakeholders fruitful deliberations in today's and tomorrow's public-private sector dialogue that is aimed at improving the Eswatini's business environment and catalyzing investments and power sector reform to support the energy transition in Eswatini. It is with great pleasure that I now officially declare the forum open. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your address. Very enlightening in terms of where we are in the energy sector and where we are going to. And indeed, the Minister in his previous portfolio implemented a lot of paperless, a lot of green projects and sustainability projects in the corporate field he was in. So he indeed walks the talk. May we please give him another round of applause. At this point, I would like to invite you for tea. Not brewed by me, but by Royal Villas. We have a 30-minute break for tea and networking, of course. And I'd also like to invite Mr. Ferdinand Nell from GIZ as well and GetPro. He's going to lead our guests to an exhibition at the back while we are having tea. Once our guests are done with the exhibition, we'll also have an opportunity to go interact with the exhibitors within the 30 minutes and also just to stretch our legs before the next session, which is going to be a bit intense and we'll need your full concentration. Thank you very much. Tea is served. We have a serving point at the back and we can also split for others. There's a serving point at the at the front next to the registration desk. Thank you very much. 25 minutes for our tea and we'll be back here.